All right. Good evening,
Okay.
everyone, and welcome to our fourth day of our summer series workshop, which is um, based on food for the heart, where we're focusing on one of the most important and delicious aspects of heart care, which is nutrition. Over
Mm.
the past few sessions, we've explored the science of heart health and the importance of screening and impacts of lifestyle choices and things like that, both physically and mentally. Today, we're going to turn our attention to what's on our plates, literally, because what we eat plays a powerful role in how well our hearts function. This session is all about learning how to nourish our hearts through culturally relevant, balanced meals. Heart healthy eating doesn't mean giving up your favorite traditional foods, but here we are talking about what we can do, such as substitutions, to make our favorite meals more healthier meals. I'm going to turn it over to Nishath now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much, Anita, for partnering with us for this wonderful event. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Nisha Dudeen, founder and CEO of South Asian Care. As a South Asian woman with a background in health communication and advocacy, I really saw firsthand the gaps in culturally responsive care, which led me to create South Asian Care. Our mission here is to address cultural barriers, connect our community compassionate providers, and share trusted, culturally relevant health information. Beyond webinars like this, our website offers a provider directory, educational resources, and tools to support your health journey. Thanks so much for being here. I really hope you find today's discussion informative and helpful. Sahini, I'll pass it back to you.
All right. So my name is Sahini and I am the Chief Operations Officer. I am going to start a little bit over what the South Asian Heart Health Initiative is. So SAHHI is a youth and university-led movement committed to tackling heart health disparities within our South Asian communities. And we do this through culturally grounded education, prevention, and lifestyle support as we are through the summer series workshop. South Asians are known to face the highest risk for heart disease worldwide, often at younger ages and with fewer warning signs. This has a lot of underlying factors that go in with it. Sahi is here to help change that narrative by empowering the next generation to lead with knowledge, advocacy, and action. Through workshops such as this, campus engagements through our university chapters, and culturally relevant resources such as working with our network in this specific scenario with South Asian Care, Sahi wants to help all those in their community promote heart healthy habits, not just for themselves, but their families and communities as well. I am going to start off with Hiba Siddiqui, our Chief Executive Officer, who could not be here today. Hiba is the founder and CEO of South Asian Heart Health Initiative. She is a graduate of Benedictine University with a Bachelor's of Science in Health Sciences and a minor in Medical Spanish Interpretation. Hiba now actually works at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute at the Harvard Medical School, where her research explores bladder and prostate cancer. Hiba has always been passionate about merging science with community impact. She has organized national workshops on preventative health, published articles on health equity in outlets like the South Asian Herald, and spoken at conferences including GirlCon Tech. Her leadership has earned recognition such as the Benedictine University Community Service Award and election to the Board of Directors for Massachusetts Association for Women in Science. Hiba had a vision for Sahi, and that stems from her belief that prevention begins with culturally resonant education. Through this summer series, she aims to empower South Asian families and anyone interested in holistic wellness with practical, evidence-based tools for lifelong heart health. So that is Hiba Siddiqui, our CEO. Like I said, am Sahini Ramaneni. I am the Chief Operations Officer of South Asian Heart Health Initiative and also a founder. Um, I currently am on the route of Doctor of Clinical Psychology track and hold a Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology with a minor in biology. I'm also currently pursuing a master's in general psychology, specifically child and adolescent psychology. I currently work as a paraprofessional in a school of special education, supporting students with diverse learning and behavioral needs. Coming from a South Asian background, I'm passionate about breaking cultural stigmas around mental health and promoting health equity. Like I said before, in both a physical format and a mental format. Through my work with Sahi, I strive to develop inclusive, culturally responsive programs that address both mental and physical health, emphasizing the connection between psychological well-being, nutrition, exercise, and genetics in achieving overall heart health. So far in our previous sessions, we had the honor of collaborating with our speakers and instructors. Today, we actually will be focused on Miss Anita. She is a registered dietitian nutritionist. So we will be starting off with an icebreaker activity. It's just a quick question. You can either try to unmute yourself if you're comfortable doing that, or you can send it in a chat. But I do have a question. What is your favorite cultural dish? I can start off, and I would say mine would have to be samosas. I grew up in a family with many restaurants, and I know samosas are probably one of the unhealthiest snacks, but sometimes it doesn't hurt to have one or two.
That sounds delicious. I'll say mine. I love biryani.
Should I go next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm South Indian and my mom made a mean dosa. I mean, dosa, masala dosa with potatoes and sambar just hit the spot.
Love dosa.
I will say I am guilty of having a live dosa station for my 21st birthday. So I will say I'm on the same track.
I had one for my wedding, so yes.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Do we have anybody else on yet?
I think we have, since this is webinar format, we have the chat. We have to open the Q&A.
Okay, we can do that
Okay.
then.
No worries. And we can ask it throughout too, so we can keep going and put that in there if people want to. But
Okay, yeah. So I'm ready to move on. I can't see the chat or anything, so whenever.
yeah.
Um, is there anything in the chat yet, or should I?
No, you can
Okay,
go forward and then we'll keep
okay,
that open.
okay. So we just did our icebreaker. So again, for those that may have just joined, the question for the icebreaker was, what is your favorite cultural dish? So today we have Anita. She is a registered nutritionist. She will be speaking on nutrition for a healthy heart. She does specialize in ethnic diets and heart health. Again, Anita, thank you so much for joining us and collaborating with us. I will let you take the show from here.
Hi, everyone. So yes, as Sahini's mentioned, I am a registered dietitian, and I also have a fitness background. I've been working in nutrition for over 18 years and have evolved in the way that nutrition has sort of come about. I started off as, in clinical, working in a hospital, and with like a clinical staff, and then I moved into something really creative. I helped my husband launched the first Greek yogurt in India. It's called Epigamia. So if you've been to India, you might have tried it. And it's still going on. And from that, I learned about food and food science and the interactions and nutrition and ingredients, and really used that to kind of move into nutrition communications. And I did a lot of nutrition consulting. And that eventually led me back to private practice and working with people, which is where I'm at. Thanks to COVID, and maybe not thanks to COVID, I have ended up in a telehealth practice. So I have my own telehealth practice. I conduct video calls pretty much all day, and I'm licensed in all 50 states, so I can see anyone all over the US. And the biggest fun factor is I accept insurance. So it's been really great growing, and I'm really trying to grow with the South Asian audience because there is so much cultural competency that I think is really important when you are trying to connect with someone about your health goals and there's a certain lifestyle that you lead or you have a familial connection with everything. So I'm excited to be here working and offering insight with both organizations, and excited to share some fun heart health insight.
All right, great. So I'm not really gonna keep this up. I want to be able to give you like your whole screen. But this is kind of just an overview on our live demo today. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen if that's okay, Anita, so that the focus can kind of be on you.
All
All
right, so
right.
I'm going to share?
Yeah, if you have something you want to share, that's fine. Or if it's just something you're on camera and showing things, that's also okay.
Yeah. Okay, so should I just go ahead and start talking about the heart health meal?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to share tonight with you a full meal. I've designed this meal to be heart healthy, focusing on a variety of different priorities. Number one, focusing on protein, making sure we have that. Number two, fiber, making sure we have adequate fiber as part of the meal. And number three, a healthy fat. The starch is involved in all of this because there are non-starchy vegetables and a little bit of starch infused in one of the dishes. All three items are a great way to sort of create that beautiful designed balanced plate that I always love to preach. And that's what's really going to help you long term kind of keep yourself healthy. This is a great way to enjoy Indian food. Sort of say, have your cake and eat it too. So let me show you exactly what I put together. So the meal plate design will be tandoori chicken. So tandoori chicken is traditionally, baked, usually in a hot like clay oven. Um, Obviously, I don't have that. So I've made them, I've marinated them. And the way that I marinated them, these are some of the chicken thighs that just came out. They're really, they look like they've probably been a little bit fried because they have like the seasoning on it, but they've come out nice and juicy. I've got more coming out of the air fryer. So the way that it works is I take chicken thighs and I really love using organic chicken thighs, boneless, and I marinate it with all the tandoori spices. Usually find, unadulterated organic versions of all the spices and make my own tandoori mix blend, that has cumin and coriander. And then I also use Greek yogurt. I love using 4% Greek yogurt. It's a great healthy fat. I think that, there were so many opinions back in the day on should I have fat, should I not have fat? And believe it or not, healthy fat is really important because it does help burn fat. Like fat eating fat does help burn body fat because you need to have some to let some go, essentially. So I marinate this with healthy fat with Greek yogurt, and I love to do it overnight. The more you marinate chicken is one of those things where I feel like it's not always the preferred protein. And so when you marinate it overnight, it really soaks into the juicy meats and sort of just makes it nice and tender. So I probably did it over 24 hours. And I, just before we started this call, probably about 20 minutes before this call, I use an air fryer. Now I'm going to show you my air fryer. I have the Ninja air fryer, which is really cool. And I like it because it has multifunction. So I end up doing the bake function. And it's an air fryer, but it's bake. And it's really cool because I'll show you. You can kind of see inside, but you see that it's sizzling. And it's got a small compartment so that the space for the air fryer is so contained that it keeps the heat there. So it's almost like you're using a shallow fry, but you're not. And it's a bake function, so it's obviously a healthy way of cooking. I spray the base of the, I'm gonna show you this little chicken right here. Oh, look how juicy it looks. So I spray the base of the air fryer with avocado oil. I know that there's a lot of question on what types of oils to use and things like that. So my little two-bit on that is avocado oil, flaxseed oil, walnut oil, cold pressed olive oil, and canola oil, also filtrate cold pressed as well. Um, are all great cooking tools, oils and obviously grass-fed butter is also great. Because I know the seed oils get a bad rap. And I think it's partly just because of the fact that when you're cooking in higher temperatures, you don't want to have the oils kind of convert into saturated trans fats. And so these are the oils that wouldn't go through that process, essentially. So that's a very simple, quick way. And what I'm going to do for everyone that is part of this webinar series and logs in, I'm going to put together a video reel of all the ingredients and how I did the marination, and then the final product, so you can see everything together. Now, with this chicken, you need some sides. So I'm going to show you what I put together or the sides. So I love rice. Like I love rice. I also love rotis. I also love naans. But, I think, by now, I think all of us South Asians know that we can't have too much of that at nighttime. It's just not ideal. So I've been experimenting with cauliflower rice. Now, cauliflower rice is great. I wouldn't overdo it. Cauliflower rice, it's like everyone's going crazy about cottage cheese. I don't want to, overhype up cauliflower rice. It tastes healthy, but what I love about it is it's very versatile. So I have created a cauliflower rice pilau. Essentially, it's just sauteed cauliflower rice, and I don't go crazy. I get the frozen rice. It's affordable, it's easy. You can buy it and keep it inside your freezer and use it when you feel like using it. You can change your mind and say, I don't feel like cauliflower today. You can go back to changing your mind and say, wait, I do feel like cauliflower today. So it's kind of just an easy thing to keep on hand. I use all the typical pulao spices. You've got the cumin seeds, the mustard seeds, you've got the cloves, and it's great. And I saute all of that, and then I add onions, and you're going to get to see this video as well. I put together a video for you to be able to see start to finish how it works with this type of pulao. So we'll saute and get the pan nice and sizzling, and then we'll add the cauliflower rice. And this particular cauliflower rice bag I had also came like with frozen chopped veggies, just capsicum and onion. So it's nice and robust. It's got a lot of veggies, flavor, and this is my fiber right here. So we'll take a plate, we'll pair some of the chicken, and we'll pair some of the cauliflower rice. And my favorite. I'm a sucker for yogurt. I'm like just a huge sucker for yogurt. I love raita. So we made when I say me and my kids, they love to cook with me. A yogurt raita. Show you what's great about it. I have been growing fresh mint in my garden. So I've got fresh mint with cucumber. So I did a chopped cucumber raita with fresh mint. So you can see it's like nice and thick. And I like to drizzle it right on the side. So it's almost like a dipping sauce for the tandoori chicken. It's really tasty. And this way, if you kind of go a little crazy with the spices for the tandoori chicken and you've got a little kick to it, the yogurt's really cooling. So if you've got, issues with heartburn or acidity, I would say that, having tandoori chicken, this meal on the earlier side of the night would probably benefit you. Oftentimes, if you eat dinner a little bit later and it feels a little heavier, it can cause more, sort of upper respiratory and um, early GI symptoms and issues. So that would be my recommendation. And so this meal, believe it or not, hits all the macros and is tasty and it's super versatile and can be repurposed the next day. You can cut up the chicken and add the chicken to the cauliflower rice, and you can make a little bowl out of it. You can take the chicken and also make, wraps out of it. So it's a great protein to kind of meal prep and have on hand. So that is kind of the meal. I can move on to a little bit of the science behind what is heart healthy for South Asians. Does that work?
Sounds great.
Yep.
So, what is heart healthy for South Asians? So, I'm South Asian, right? And so we have, I want to say, in my opinion, I think we have the toughest genes. We get, as time has evolved, I'm noticing in my generation and the generation above, my parents, that I'm seeing just an exorbitant amount of people with elevated cholesterol, hypercholesteremia, hyperlipidemia. I'm seeing, you know, blood sugar issues like diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and obesity. So it's a combination of comorbidities, including cardiovascular disease and diabetes. And it's really depressing because, it just feels like this is our culture, and food is a big part of our culture, and we socialize with food, and our language of love is food. So I think that because of it, I've just learned over time that it's not fair to say no and that I can't have it, but it's great to be able to say, well, how can I have it in a way that won't affect my health, that I can enjoy it, at the same time, but in moderation. And so this meal was inspired by that thought. And as I said, I'm going to share all the recipe and all the information to you after, so you can replicate it as well. But Some things to keep in mind. What are some swaps or what are some ways to think about Indian food? I like to tell people that if you can eat to follow your circadian rhythm, which means your body wakes up at a certain time and it goes to bed at a certain time. Indian food, in my opinion, would fall into the middle part of the day. So ideally, like if you think about kind of like the way like even the South Indian specialties, including like upma and idli and vada sambar and dosa sambar. Those are things that are traditionally served at lunch, at brunch, lunch, breakfast, brunch, lunch. And I think that concept is amazing. Obviously, here most of us are go, 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 and we don't end up eating a proper meal until dinner. So if there's a way to be able to kind of modify that, and say that you could have maybe you treat yourself on the weekends versus the weekdays so you can really maximize the benefits of eating early and enjoy yourself, treat yourself to a nice breakfast brunch of like gourmet South Indian specialties. That would be one way to enjoy Indian food. The other way is how much of like what are the easy modifications? So if you're making roti using a flour mix, they call it atta, right? So a higher protein based grain would be great. Could you make rotis with oat flour or sorghum flour or millet flour? We're talking about the bajra and the jawar. You get the same ingredients here. And so being able to maximize and use higher nutritious grains will give you more bang for buck. And if you make the rotis, could you make them a little smaller so that you can have two instead of one? Um, Sometimes, if you're having like a kati roll, there's a few brands out there now that make wraps that are, or like tortillas that are great to use as a substitute to the traditional, um, paratha. One is the Siete Foods almond flour tortillas, and the other one is a new brand I recently found. It's called Rise and Puff. They make really great gluten-free tortillas. So I've recently been experimenting with that, making kati rolls. So that's another sort of modification to think about. The third, as I mentioned earlier, is like instead of having rice, um, or the traditional naan at dinner time. Once in a while, you can substitute it for like a cauliflower rice just to make it healthier and higher in fiber. Um, Other substitutions include making sure that half of your plate has vegetables. So you obviously want to enjoy your protein, I mean your starch, but you want to make sure that if you're looking at a circle plate, half of that plate is vegetables. And it could be in any form. It could be like a really nice tadka of like sauteed veggies. It could be a sabzi like saag paneer. It could be some kind of like, jalfrezi. And then on the other side could be, two-thirds of that other half of that plate could be protein and a really nice small portion of starch. And of course, you can have the healthy fat like the yogurt raita or, something else on the side that might make sense too. Or like if you're making a gravy, you can use like a cashew gravy just to make it healthier and, plant protein based. So those would be my immediate initial modifications. I think it's also important to pay attention to sodium. How much salt do we really need? I've been experimenting with a company called Flavor God. They have a no salt spice, and it basically is like just the common herb ingredients that you can use just to as a baseline flavoring without having to add so much salt. Because I think the combination of salt with oils in a meal combined with not exercising portion control is what leads to the ability to feel like we essentially overate. So just kind of being more mindful of that as well. So these are my initial suggestions. I would say that as we're thinking about meal prepping and meal planning, you think about the protein, you think about how you want to make the protein, but then you think about how you want to design that plate so that the plate looks like it fits all of these macro puzzle pieces. So that's kind of my overview.
Anita, we have some questions too in our Q&A
Yeah.
that I can read out and we can go through them. So the first question is, for pre-diabetes or diabetes, what advice do you have for diet?
Yes. So for pre-diabetes and diabetes, the main macro to focus on, actually, so it's two-part. You have to focus on modifying your starch intake. So that's modifying your breads, your rice, your pastas, your potatoes, and really understanding two things that, the old school comfort food of dal rice, that bowl of dal and rice together is actually contradictory because rice is a starch and traditional yellow mung, like lentils, is a starch. And so there's two ways to enjoy that. Number one, you can enjoy both together in portion. So I'm happy to share a nutrition guide that has portion sizing to everybody that's joined the call later. But essentially, that would be 1/3 cup cooked rice and 1/2 cup cooked dal. That's it. That's a portion. That's so little. I mean, if I could show it to you now, if I had it, you would be like, that's all I can have. But that's really what it comes down to, eating it in portion control. To maximize being able to enjoy lentils and rice, you should pre-soak both of them in a bowl with water overnight and then rinse them a couple of times. This removes lectins. Lectins are a digestive disruptor and can cause gas and discomfort and bloating. So this is a good way to kind of relieve some of that. And so that's the macro to pay attention to. Now, the macro to really incorporate into every meal is fiber. Fiber, soluble fiber, binds to blood sugar molecules and slows the transport down. That's the science behind it. It kind of teaches your body not to get so excited when sugar is in the system because fiber helps kind of connect with it and slow it down. So how does, fiber look like? Maybe for breakfast, you have a portion of antioxidant-rich berries. You add some ground flaxseed to something, or hemp seeds or chia seeds. At lunchtime, you try to have a side salad or some roasted vegetables. At dinner time, you might have another salad or some, Indians love kachumber, which is basically cut up tomatoes, onions, parsley, cucumbers, which is really great. It's kind of like an aperitif. You can add mint to it. Summertime, I like to add mint to everything. So that's a good way to sort of add some of that roughage, raw fiber into your rotation. And then dinner time as well. Both times, really maximizing that half a plate and making sure that there's that much fiber for you. That's what I would say is like the basic start to managing prediabetes and hopefully not, get across that line to diabetes.
And to add on to that, someone also asked, do you also need to soak brown rice?
Um, Good question, actually. Brown rice um, has more fiber and it doesn't exactly spike or cause the same response in the GI system. But if it's raw, I would still soak it overnight at least. You may not have to rinse it so much the next day, but I would 100% soak it overnight.
Awesome. Okay, another question. How to reduce cholesterol through diet? Heart disease runs in my family.
Yes. So cholesterol, believe it or not, is your lipid panel, right? It's your LDL and your HDL and your triglycerides. Well, what is cholesterol? It's fat, essentially. And where does fat come from? Everyone says, "Oh, I have to modify my eggs and I have to modify eating like, healthy fats." And it's actually not that. Starch, believe it or not, and sugar are the two main factors that in the diet that increase your cholesterol. So moderate your sugar intake. Really be mindful of eating added processed foods like baked goods and sweet treats. Um, and for the starch side of things, because if you have too much bread or too much pasta or too much rice, and the net, and you're not, sort of netting at burning calories, over time, and especially if you kind of use the behavioral strategy where you're kind of having dinner as your largest meal, over time, you will see that it will impair your glucose, your blood sugar regulation. And what happens is if our blood sugar regulation gets impaired, that's when fat gets stored. And that's what we see the elevation in cholesterol. So I would say that if you have more specific things you'd like to sort of address, definitely ping me later and we can talk through some of the stuff, but those are the general recommendations.
Someone said, is it true eggs and shrimp increase cholesterol?
Eggs do not increase cholesterol. Shrimp, if it's obviously fried and cooked, in deep, I would say butter or oils, over time, if you continue to eat it, it can trigger your triglycerides to get elevated. But shrimp on its own does not cause cholesterol to go up. One of the best ways is to like grill it on the grill, or if you do cocktail shrimp, that's can make a healthier version of the cocktail sauce and enjoy shrimp that way. That's actually a great way to enjoy the shrimp and not affect those numbers.
Perfect. And then we have one more question. Someone asked, I struggle with staying consistent with my diet. Do you have any tips?
I think it's hard because life gets in the way. I like to tell people to think of it as an 80-20 rule. So I think of it, if you know, kind of like it's like mapping out your week. It's like taking some time, maybe on Sunday, kind of saying, what's my week going to look like? How many days do I have to go out? Like, is there a work event, or is it a happy hour with work employees, or am I socializing with friends, or like what are the obligations I have to take me out of my house? And kind of know what those are and kind of make a plan for those days. Well, how am I going to make those days enjoyable and manageable without like breaking my routine? And that's one way to think about it. And the other way to think about it is the days that you are home, like how strict with my routine can I be? Like what are some things I can focus on making sure I'm staying on track? And I would take it in twofold. I also, because it's 80-20, 5 days out of a 7-day week, if you can focus on routine, it's very natural for 2 days of the week to go and enjoy your life and to, have that balance because I mean, that's what it comes down to. You can't be a robot every day and do the same thing. It kind of gets boring after some time.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to add on to today's
Um,
session?
no, but I am also, just a fun little
Mm-hmm.
thing to do. I'm gonna also share a
Hmm.
fun dessert that I made. Um,
Okay.
I used almond butter and I made almond butter cookies. And I like so I don't I mean I think I've just grown up enjoying a piece of sweet or some kind of treat after everything that I eat. Um and over time, I learned that I can't just enjoy a cookie all the time. Um and so I've started to, experiment and make healthy treats. And so I've made almond flour cookies and I'm going to share the recipe. Um and they're little bite-sized cookies and I'm excited to be able to kind of explain to people that if you eat a certain way, you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. So that's kind of what I think it comes down to my message, in this webinar or to anyone that's following along, is that you don't have to sacrifice so much to enjoy good food. You just have to be smart about what time of day you eat it, how you pair it, and your actions after that. And so that's what I would kind of leave with.
Sounds good. Yeah. And I would say that being South Asian myself, having South Asian parents, almost every other night, my parents argue about how my dad doesn't need a sweet treat of a chocolate or a laddu or something. My mom always tries to tell him like, why can't you just like eat one laddu over the course of a week? One laddu for him is enough for a day. For one sweet treat. So I'm excited to see what you have to share with us.
Yep, I will be putting together a video reel, and so everyone can kind of see just like an overview of what ingredients went in and how it was kind of prepped together. And yeah, and of course, I'm available to be in touch for any individual questions.
Sounds good. Okay, so thank you again for your time and everything that you've delivered to us today. I personally was able to relate the most to this session, I would say. Um, like I mentioned at the beginning, my parents have owned restaurants and grocery stores from ever since I was born. And even now, my dad has a warehouse of South Asian like vegetarian snacks that are made and imported from India.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's just crazy to see for me that like, you know, there's no necessarily like healthier options to them. They just kind of have the whatever is going to please people's stomachs type of thing. And I think I took a lot away to like, be able to have a conversation now with my dad. So I definitely had a my own personalized key takeaway from this. And we can't wait to hopefully collaborate again in the near future with you. Thank you so much.
No, I really appreciate this. I am super passionate about South Asian health. We are the largest demographic in terms of chronic illness and disease, and it continues to grow. Um, and it's a bummer. And so I think that what's hard to sort of imagine is that the genetic predisposition that we have, we give it to our kids, and it can continue. And so if you can sort of make some changes and kind of create a routine that, gone are the days where you have to finish your plate and, plating it in a way that is more mindful and gut healthy and, digestive friendly for you. I think it's hard because our parents came, I mean, my parents were immigrants and they came to this country and they put food on the table. So to them, anything wasted was like, no, how absurd, like, but there's more to that, and understanding what that moderation and that portion control is, which is something that I learned much later in life. And I'd love to be able to continue sharing that with all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, Anita, for all that you do and for partnering with us on this wonderful event. And I just want to give you a quick shout out. Thank you so much for all the amazing content you've created and helped with our resource hub. So just shout out for everyone. Go check out our website to read more from Anita. And then I know our Instagram reel will be coming. Also, just a fun fact about Anita services. A lot of people might not know that some people, their insurance actually have coverage for nutrition counseling benefits. So connect with Anita if you'd like to learn more about your coverage benefits, and she would be amazing to work with.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your time today, and we will get this posted so we can share more.
More to come for
Yeah.
sure.
All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.